Welcome to a very special Valentine's Day edition of the Real Estate Espresso podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menashe. Nothing says I love you quite like a warranty deed. I'm celebrating Valentine's Day with my wife on the beach in Mexico. We take time each year to recharge. Sometimes taking holidays is easier than others. We've both been working really hard over the last several months, and even into our holiday, there hasn't been a day of true disconnect or relaxation for both of us. Project timelines spanning several months or years can mean that a holiday in the middle of a critical time of a project might be problematic. Whether it's making sure that the podcast gets loaded and ready for the next day, sending a document to a lender, or dealing with an issue at the office, it seems there's always something requiring attention. Through the process, I've learned that life is a journey. The global independence that the internet affords makes it possible for me to produce shows from my home office, from a hotel room anywhere in the world, or sitting by the beach in the south of France. You might have even heard the birds chirping in the background over the past week. So on this Valentine's Day, I'm asking the simple question: what is love? Is it a thing? The dictionary isn't quite sure what love is. It seemed to struggle with defining it. It's defined as both a noun and a verb. As a noun, it's described as an intense feeling of affection. It's also defined as a verb, as in the sentence, "Do you love me?" or "I'd love a cup of espresso." But when you describe love as a feeling, the feeling doesn't just magically happen on its own. It requires some kind of action for the feeling to be the result. So in that context, I believe that love is really a verb. By describing love as a verb, it's clear that it's an action word. Love of any kind requires action. It doesn't just happen. It's the result of a choice to love. All persistent choices require commitment, conviction, tenacity, and integrity. Long-term decisions require long-term commitments, and all too often, people make decisions based on transient emotional states. I'll give you an example. I would not describe myself as someone who is hungry, but I was hungry last Thursday around 5 p.m. That was a temporary state. I made a short-term decision to eat something to deal with the temporary state. I didn't make any life-altering decisions because I was hungry at that moment in time. So you don't want to make long-term life decisions based on temporary states. Loving successfully requires commitment to loving. It requires energy. The feeling of love, now that we're talking about the noun of the word love, is one of those basic human needs like oxygen, like water, like food. Without food you can starve, without oxygen you can suffocate, and without love, yes, actually you will die. The short-term replacements for love, like lust, are just not the same. They're hollow, they're empty, and they're transient. Love cannot persist without commitment. When you face obstacles in anything in life, whether it's in business, in your finances, or in love, making a choice to see past the obstacle is essential to overcoming the obstacle. Seeing past the obstacle is essential to loving. As investors, we're part of that special breed of folks that have a non-traditional job. We don't go to work on a 9-to-5 basis, but when a project demands our attention, whether it's on a weekend to complete a status report, or when a staff member encounters a situation they need help with, we're there to step up and make a decision. It doesn't matter where in the world, on which time zone, you've got to be there to help out when it's needed. We do things that others choose not to do so that we can have the freedom and choices that others don't. We make mistakes, we experience setbacks, we encounter surprises. And success as a real estate investor requires a level of commitment not that different than the kind of commitment needed to love successfully. So on this Valentine's Day, celebrate your love for those who you hold close and reflect on the kind of commitment you need to love anything in your life. As you think about that, have an awesome rest of your day. Happy Valentine's Day. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.